Wanted to hit a quick little ISO here for the NFL draft. Talk about my favorite players coming up. We could talk about the same three topics. Is Caleb Williams really a good quarterback? Or why do people like JJ McCarthy? Or who's going to be the first defensive player to come off the draft board? Like, it's going to be the same conversations we've had for the past couple months. And I really do want to talk about like my favorite prospects. Now, it's not going to be like all the top guys in the draft class because I could sit here and say, I really like that Marvin Harrison Jr. guy, and it would be really boring. So we're going to dive into some of these guys, and it's going to be like a little 5 to 7 yap session. We'll ISO here, and we'll try to stay on topic to the best of my capabilities. Starting it off with Bo Nix. Bo is a guy that's going to always be like attached to my hip at this point. I had him as my Heisman pick last year, and then on top of that, we were talking about Bo Nix as like a first round pick before it was like unfathomable that he was one. And I think at this point with my friends, I kind of have to ride with it. Now, do I think Bo Nix is going to be this all pro talent? I think he's a blend of like play style wise, not like ceiling of like Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins. He's going to play really well in the system. His arm, I don't think was showcased a lot at Oregon. Pretty ironic for an Oregon quarterback not to be able to show off his arm talent. And so, like, because I think people also forget that he was a 5 star coming out of high school. The dude had a lively arm and pretty good mobility. I'm not saying like an elite level arm, but I think better than what he's given credit for. And I think if he goes to like a Broncos, I think that's a good situation for what Sean Payton wants in a quarterback. I think he fits it. But like let's keep it talking to like wide receivers because this is like a huge wide receiver class. And Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Leggett are like my two. These are the guys that I'm putting stock into. And it's like you could really do the same thing for Brian Thomas Jr. Like I think as what I've watched more of his tape too, it's incredible. Like Xavier Leggett, Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr. You are really just picking what kind of freak athlete do you want to have, and they all have their like niche traits that are better than one of the other. You can make the argument that Brian Thomas Jr. has the best blend of the two. Xavier Leggett really like. I hate making the common comparison of like like for Caleb Williams and Patrick Mahomes, but the common comparison for Xavier Leggett is AJ Brown light, and I think it's like almost fair because when you put on his tape, he damn near catches everything. Adonai Mitchell should not be able to move as smooth as he does at 6'4", and then Brian Thomas Jr. to be as fast as he is and to make the routes as smooth as he is at his size with the speed that he has as well. It's all very impressive. Like I get it, Rome, Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. are in a class of their own. But if you're in those late 20s and that run starts and your team ends up trading up, you're not going to be missing out on an elite level talent. I would even throw in Keon Coleman. A lot of people are off of him because of the 40-yard dash. Don't let that fool you. The dude's a freak of nature, and I'm lower on Keon Coleman, but like that's for other reasons. That's not because of a damn 40 time. And like the wide receivers, yeah. Like if I were to say someone that's like my guy, I've always been a big fan of Adonai Mitchell, and I think he like I hate to say it as a narrative person, but like he seems like a diva potentially from the effort levels. I'm sure he's a great guy. Like I can't judge the dude's character, but like the narrative around like he doesn't put effort into plays that he's not targeted, kind of funny. And I don't mind a little diva. He's such a stealer. Like I know it's a common joke to make, but he's such a stealer. Let's keep it pushing to like Jalen Wright, Tennessee running back. He's my number one running back in my like. If I were to make a draft board or like running back rankings, the dude just has an incredible amount of burst, and I think it's not like a speed back where you can only run stretches and tosses to the outside. I think he can play in between the tackles, and there's something to be said about finding that blend. Like it's the reason why I was very high on Devon Achane, and that's not to say Achane can like run in between the tackles at an elite level, but he could do it better than like, the Dree Archer type of running backs. And I think that's such a bad comparison. I can't believe I just said Dree Archer, Madden Mobile legend, but like, you know what I mean? Like fast running backs that just couldn't go in between the tackles. And I think A Chain could have or does it at a pretty solid level. And I like Jalen Wright. It's such a crapshoot of running backs this year that someone's going to pop off. I'm not a fan of Braylon Allen and Trey Benson. I get the hype behind him, and I think he could be a solid running back. I think he's my number two. And also, there's something to be said about Jonathan Brooks, who could really come onto the scene and be really, really good. I get it. The torn ACL is always a red flag, but we're in 2024 where torn ACLs aren't as such of a detriment to players as it used to be. Now, for the running back position, it's something you always keep your eye on, but we've seen like Brees Hall come back from something like that and look just as good. So, if Jonathan Brooks was healthy, I think he would easily be the running back one here. So, how much can we really tax that injury? And I think, if anything, I'm just trying to stay consistent here because I've taxed Michael Penix Jr. for his injuries here. But Jonathan Brooks is a fantastic player. It's just how much is that going to hinder his play style, like moving forward? And we'll talk about the defense a little bit as that's kind of been a blind spot, but someone that I like, and it's partially because of the name, which is a stupid reason, but on top of that, like Chop Robinson, his film is so fun to watch. I've never seen an athletic freak at the edge position go in with less of a plan when trying to get the quarterback. But like I'm not going to make the Micah Parsons comparison because I feel like that's lazy and you're just looking at the helmet of Penn State and seeing the speed rusher and be like, that's Micah Parsons. No. It's a different situation that I think like he could be either a major miss or like one of the best players at his position. Like there, I don't see much of a gray area, and maybe he could end up just being an like I don't know, trying to think like he could be a pass rushing specialist, and that would be his gray area. But I have this weird feeling that I'm just going to invest a ton of stock into Chalk Robinson. I hope he's a Seahawk. I hope he goes to Mike McDonald because I feel like that pairing would just be a match made in heaven. And I just think Chop Robinson's going to work out. And when we're talking about the corners, Quinyon Mitchell, I like him, but I didn't watch enough of him, so I don't have that real attachment. But Cooper DeJean, I understand Theo Ash was against him, not against him, but like was lower on him than most. And I think just Cooper DeJean, when you have a player that's able to play so many different positions, I get it. He played a lot of weak offenses in Iowa, but I just I got to say, Cooper DeJean, I think he's going to work out at the NFL level if he goes to a team that knows how to use him. Originally, I thought he was going to go to the Colts because I thought they were going to get rid of Kenny Moore. I think he could be a really good slot corner. And I think that's becoming one of the most important positions on the defenses we've seen. Instead of adding another linebacker, adding a slot corner could be so crucial. We've seen what happened with the Lions with CJ Gardner Johnson. That's a big addition for the Eagles. I think that's one of their biggest additions for that defense. And I think we've seen it with Kyle Hamilton being able to get into the box. And I think someone like Cooper DeJean could really benefit from that. So that's a little bit of a yap session on those are like my guys for the NFL draft. If you had a list of them, let me know down in the comments and have a fantastic day. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.